The blueprint society sold you. For decades, a popular formula has been drilled into people's minds. A step-by-step approach to wealth that seems logical, safe, and responsible. It's the blueprint sold by financial gurus with slick suits and million-dollar smiles, parents who want the best for their kids but don't know any better, teachers trying to prepare students for the real world, and society at large, which thrives on keeping the machine running smoothly. But when you strip away the polish, the motivational quotes, the retirement calculators, the glossy brochures, what remains is a formula designed not to set you free, but to keep you running on a treadmill, mistaking movement for progress. This model is built on two pillars. Primary income source, your job. The salary, hourly wage, or paycheck you earn. Wealth growth engine, long-term market investments. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, 401ks, and compounding interest. Together, they form the so-called safe path to financial freedom. Wealth, equals job income, plus market investments over time. Sounds reasonable, right? Work hard, stash money, away, invest wisely, and decades later, you'll be set for life. But there's a problem. Actually, several. The built-in speed limit. Let's break this down mathematically. Your job dictates your primary income, which means your wealth potential is locked to hourly wage X hours worked or annual salary. This equation reveals an uncomfortable truth about the traditional path to wealth. Your time is directly tied to your earning potential. Every dollar you make requires a corresponding hour of your life spent working. Want more money? Work more hours, or hope your boss gives you a raise. There's a cap on how much you can earn unless you work more hours or negotiate raises. Even if you're lucky enough to land promotions, those increases often come with diminishing returns as taxes eat up larger chunks of your income. If you stop working, the income stops too. No matter how many years you've poured into your career, if you take a day off, or worse, get laid off, you're back to square one. Now, let's add the second component. Market investments. Compounding interest is powerful, yes, but its real strength only materializes over decades. A $10,000 investment today might grow into $1 million in 50 years. That sounds great until you realize the underlying assumption, that you'll still be around and healthy enough to enjoy it. The reality? Many who follow this formula spend their best years grinding away, sacrificing weekends, vacations, and personal relationships, only to reach retirement age and discover that the wealth they were promised is either too late or too little. They traded their prime years for a future that never quite arrived. The time trade nobody talks about. Picture this. Two individuals, Jake and Emily. Jake's story. Jake follows the standard plan. He lands a corporate job straight out of college, thrilled to have secured what he believes is his ticket to success. For the next 30 years, he works 50-plus hours a week, diligently saving 10% of his paycheck each month. He contributes faithfully to his 401k, maxes out his IRA contributions, and avoids risky investments because he's been told that playing it safe is the key to long-term growth. By 65, Jake is hoping to retire comfortably. He envisions lazy mornings sipping coffee on the porch, traveling to exotic destinations, and finally pursuing hobbies he's put on hold for decades. But somewhere along the way, cracks begin to show. His company downsizes, forcing him to pick up freelance gigs during evenings and weekends just to stay afloat. The stock market takes a nosedive, wiping out years of gains, and inflation creeps higher, making his carefully planned budget feel tighter than ever. When Jake finally reaches retirement age, he finds himself staring at a nest egg that feels smaller than expected. Sure, he has some savings, but it's not enough to live the lifestyle he dreamed of. Instead of relaxing, he spends his golden years worrying about medical bills and cutting corners wherever possible. His reward for following the safe plan? A lifetime of delayed gratification followed by disappointment. Emily's story. Emily, on the other hand, understands that wealth isn't just about earning. It's about multiplying income sources and creating systems that generate money without trading time. She starts small, launching a side hustle while holding down her day job. At first, it's tough. Balancing full-time work with building a business leaves her exhausted. But she persists, knowing that every extra hour invested now will pay dividends later. By 30, Emily has multiple income streams. She owns a thriving online coaching business, rents out properties she purchased strategically over the years, and earns passive income from digital products like ebooks and courses. Her assets grow independently of her hours worked, freeing her from the constant grind of trading time for money. At 40, Jake is still in the office, waiting for his big break. Emily? She's financially independent, traveling the world and living on her own terms. She wakes up each morning excited to tackle new projects, not because she has to, but because she wants to. The difference? Leverage, the illusion of security. What happens if Jake's company downsizes? What if the stock market crashes right before his retirement? What if inflation eats away at his savings? The truth is, the safe plan isn't as safe as it seems. Imagine a global recession hits. Suddenly, Jake's job disappears overnight. Or consider a housing crisis like the one in 2008. His carefully curated investment portfolio shrinks dramatically, leaving him scrambling to recover lost ground. And what about health issues? If Jake falls ill and can no longer work, his entire financial foundation crumbles. This entire formula hinges on things you can't control: economic stability, employer loyalty, market performance, and even your own health. And yet, millions are following it blindly, believing that if they just keep working, saving, and waiting, their golden years will be spectacular. Breaking the cycle. Real wealth isn't about waiting. It's about designing an income strategy where time is not the limiting factor. It means building assets that pay you, businesses that scale. Imagine owning a company that generates revenue whether you're actively involved or not. Digital products, rental, properties, or royalties. These assets continue producing income even while you sleep. Leveraging technology to multiply earnings. Automation tools, AI, and online platforms allow you to amplify your efforts exponentially. Creating income independence. Not relying on a single paycheck. Diversify your income streams so that losing one source doesn't derail your entire financial plan. Not waiting for someday to enjoy life. Why postpone happiness for a distant future that may never arrive? Not working 40 years to maybe retire rich. Life is short. Start enjoying the fruits of your labor today. The truth? You don't need decades to be financially free. You need a new approach. Because slow wealth isn't just slow, it's risky. The longer you wait, the fewer options you have. You can trade 40 years of your life for the illusion of security, or you can take control now and make wealth work for you. The choice is yours. If you've been told to work hard, save money, and retire at 65, understand that this isn't the only way, and certainly not the fastest way, to build wealth. Challenge the script, build something bigger, and don't let time be your biggest expense, because wealth isn't about age, it's about action. A conversation between Jake and Emily. One evening, after a particularly grueling day at the office, Jake bumps into Emily at a local cafe. They haven't seen each other since college, and Jake is shocked by how relaxed and confident Emily appears. Jake: "Wow, Em, you look amazing. How do you manage to stay so calm? I feel like I'm drowning in work." Emily, smiling: "Thanks, Jake. Honestly, it's all about mindset. When I realized I didn't want to trade my whole life for a paycheck, I started looking for ways to create freedom instead of just chasing security." Jake: "Freedom? That sounds nice, but how does it actually work? Don't you still need a steady income?" Emily: "Of course, everyone needs income. But here's the thing. Once you shift your focus from earning to building, everything changes. For example, I started a small consulting business on the side. At first, it barely covered my coffee habit. But over time, I scaled it up, automated processes, and brought in partners. Now, it runs itself. Jake. That sounds incredible, but what about risk? Isn't starting a business scary? Emily. It can be, but sticking to the same old path carries risks too, like waking up at 65 and realizing you've missed out on life. Building wealth outside the traditional system isn't easy, but it's worth it. Trust me, Jake. You deserve more than just surviving. You deserve to thrive. As they part ways, Jake walks home deep in thought. For the first time in years, he wonders if maybe, just maybe, there's another way.